The night was cold and quiet. Dark clouds covered the stars. In a forest far from any city, a strange ship crashed. The ship was small and broken, smoke rising from the metal shell inside. A mother and her child sat shaking, hiding from the unknown world around them. Her name was Lyra, and she was not from Earth. Her skin was pale blue, her eyes large and dark. She held her son Nalu close to her chest. He was just 5 years old, and his small body burned with fever. They had escaped war from a faraway planet called Viridia, but now they were alone on a strange planet, hurt, scared, and tired. Lyra looked around, breathing fast. The forest was dense, full of trees and strange sounds. She had no idea if the creatures outside were friendly or dangerous. She had only one goal: keep Nalu alive, but his breathing was weak, and his skin felt too hot. He needed medicine, food, and warmth. She had none of it. They had landed 3 days ago. Since then, Lyra had tried to stay hidden. She had found a small cave near the crash site. There was water, but it was cold and tasted strange. She gave Nalu a few drops, hoping it would help. On the 4th night, it began to rain. The wind howled through the trees and thunder roared above. Lyra wrapped her child in a silver blanket from the ship. But she knew it wasn't enough. He needed help, but she didn't know who to trust. What if the people on Earth hated aliens? What if they took her child away? She had no choice but to wait. She sat by the cave entrance, her eyes heavy from no sleep. Suddenly, a sound made her freeze. Footsteps, soft but clear, were coming closer. Lyra grabbed a sharp piece of metal and stood in front of her son. The footsteps stopped. A flashlight beam cut through the darkness. Then a voice, soft and unsure, said, "Hello. Is someone there?" It was a young human girl. She wore a red raincoat and had a small dog by her side. Her name was Emma, and she looked no older than 15. She had come into the woods looking for her lost dog. But what she found was far beyond anything she imagined. Lyra stayed silent, breathing hard. Emma saw the broken ship behind the trees. Her eyes widened, but she didn't scream. She took a slow step forward and raised both hands. "I don't want to hurt you," she said gently. Her dog barked once, then sat quietly, watching Lyra. Lyra didn't move. Emma noticed the child. Behind her, he was coughing, and his eyes were barely open. "Is he sick?" Emma asked, worry in her voice. Still, Lyra said nothing. Emma slowly took off her backpack and placed it on the ground. "I have food and water," she said, then stepped back. Lyra looked at the bag, then at Emma. The girl was small, harmless, and not afraid. After a long moment, Lyra lowered the metal and walked toward the bag. She opened it carefully. Inside were crackers, a bottle of water, and a small flashlight. Lyra gave the water to Nalu, helping him sip it slowly. His eyes fluttered open, just a little. Emma smiled. "It's okay. I won't tell anyone." Lyra looked at her, surprised. She finally spoke. Her voice soft and strange. "Why? Help us." Emma shrugged. "You need help," she said. "It doesn't matter where you're from." Lyra felt tears rise in her eyes. It was the first kind words she had heard in months. The war, the escape, the fear, all of it had made her heart heavy. Now a human child was showing her kindness. Emma sat down nearby, careful not to get too close. She looked at the ship, then at Nalu. "I can bring more food tomorrow," she said. "My brother is training to be a doctor." "Maybe he can help your son." Lyra hesitated. Was this a trap? Or was this girl truly good? She looked at Nalu. Again his breathing was shallow. She didn't have a choice anymore. She nodded. Just once, Emma stood up and smiled. "Stay here. I'll come back," she promised. Then turned and disappeared into the forest. Her dog following her, Lyra held her son close. Her heart racing. For the first time since arriving on Earth, she felt a small light of hope. But she also knew hope could be dangerous, and Earth might not be as kind as the girl in the red raincoat. The next morning, the forest was quiet again. Birds sang in the trees, and soft sunlight broke through the thick leaves. Lyra opened her eyes slowly, her arms still wrapped around little Nalu. He was breathing, but still too weak. She remembered the human girl, the one in the red raincoat with the kind eyes. The girl had promised to come back, but could Lyra believe her? What if she told someone? What if humans came with weapons? Still, deep inside, Lyra hoped she would return. Hope something she hadn't felt since the day her world fell apart. Nalu coughed softly. His fever wasn't as high as last night, but he still looked pale. Lyra touched his forehead gently and whispered something in her language. She knew he didn't have much time left without help. Then she heard the sound footsteps again, quick and careful, moving through the leaves. Lyra jumped up and stood in front of the cave entrance, holding the metal piece like a knife. She held her breath, heart pounding fast. A voice came, soft and calm. "It's me." It was Emma, just like she promised. This time, she wasn't alone. Behind her stood a tall boy with dark hair and a large backpack. He looked older, maybe 17 or 18, Emma whispered. "This is my brother, Leo. He wants to help, but we won't hurt you." Lyra narrowed her eyes, not trusting anyone yet. Leo raised his hand slowly, showing he had nothing dangerous. "I'm studying to be a doctor," he said gently. "I don't know much yet, but I'll try to help your son." Lyra looked back at Nalu, who was coughing again. She hesitated, her mind racing. But the boy looked honest, and Nalu needed help now, not later. She stepped aside and pointed toward her son. Leo moved forward slowly. Kneeling beside the child, he opened his backpack and took out a small first aid kit, some cloth, and a bottle of clean water. He checked Nalu's pulse, lifted his eyelids, and looked worried. "He's very sick," Leo said quietly. "He has an infection, probably from the crash." Emma handed her brother a small flashlight, and he used it to look into Nalu's mouth and ears. "He needs antibiotics," Leo said, "and clean surroundings. He can't stay in this cold cave." Lyra listened carefully, trying to understand every word. Leo looked up at her. "We can't take him to a hospital. People would find out, but we can bring him to our family's old barn. It's empty and hidden. I can treat him there." Lyra felt torn. Leaving the cave meant more risk, but staying here meant losing Nalu she had already trusted. Emma once said she had kept her promise. Now she had to trust the brother too. Finally, Lyra gave a slow nod. Emma smiled gently. "We'll help carry him." They worked together. Wrapping Nalu in the silver blanket, Lyra lifted her son, and Emma guided them through the forest. It took over an hour to reach the barn, hidden behind thick trees at the edge of a quiet field. The barn was old, but clean, with hay on the floor and a small corner with blankets and tools. Leo laid Nalu down carefully and started cleaning the wounds on his leg and arm. He used warm water, alcohol wipes, and soft bandages. Nalu whimpered, but Lyra held his hand. Whispering in her own language, after treating the cuts, Leo gave him medicine. A small white pill crushed into clean water. "Drink this," he said, softly, helping Nalu sip it. Lyra watched every move with sharp eyes. Ready to protect her son, Emma brought dry clothes, a sleeping bag, and more food. She also lit a small battery lamp and placed it beside them. "You can rest here," she told Lyra. "No one comes to this barn anymore." Lyra finally sat down beside her son. She looked at Emma and Leo, her voice soft but serious. "Why help us?" she asked again. Emma looked at her and said, "Because you needed it." Leo added, "We don't care if you're alien or human. You're a mother, and your child needs help." No one should suffer alone. Lyra blinked slowly, tears forming in her eyes. For so long she had seen nothing but fear and hate. Now, these two humans, just children themselves, were giving her hope. Real, living hope. As the night fell, Lyra sat by Nalu's side, watching him sleep. His breathing was easier now, and his color was slowly returning. Outside, the wind blew gently. Through the trees inside, there was peace for now, but Lyra knew peace never lasted. Somewhere out in space, others were still hunting her. And soon, they might come to Earth. She had to stay strong, not just for Nalu, but for these kind humans too. They had given her hope. Now she had to protect it. Night fell over the old barn. The wind outside was cold, but inside it was warm and still. Nalu lay wrapped in a thick blanket, his small body resting quietly. Beside him, Lyra sat with tired eyes, holding his hand. She watched every breath he took, afraid it might be his last, but this time, his breathing was steady, not perfect, not strong, but better than before. Leo sat nearby, checking his notes and adjusting the bandages again. Emma passed him a bottle of clean water, her hands shaking slightly from the cold. "Will he be okay?" Emma asked, her voice soft. Leo looked at Nalu, then nodded slowly. "He's not safe yet," he said, "but his fever has dropped. If we keep giving the medicine, he might recover." Lyra listened carefully. She didn't understand every word, but she understood the feeling. Leo's voice was calm, not afraid. Not angry, just kind. She looked down at her son, then back at Leo. "Thank you," she whispered. Leo smiled faintly. "I never thought I'd treat someone from another planet," he said, "but sickness is the same. No matter where you're from." Lyra's eyes filled with quiet tears. On Viridia, humans were feared monsters. Destroyers, dangerous. But now, a human boy was saving her son. Her heart didn't know how to feel. Grateful, confused, afraid. Emma sat next to her and offered some bread and soup. Lyra took it slowly, sniffed it, then tasted a small bite. It was strange, but warm. She hadn't eaten properly in days. Emma watched her with curiosity. "Do you have others, like you?" she asked. Lyra shook her head slowly. "All gone," she said. "War. Fire. Running. Only me." Nalu, Emma's smile faded. She couldn't imagine losing everything, her home, her people, her world. It made her heart ache. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. Lyra didn't reply. She just looked down at Nalu, brushing his hair with trembling fingers. That child was her whole world now, her reason to keep going. Suddenly, Nalu stirred. He opened his eyes slowly, blinking at the light. "Mama," he whispered. Lyra gasped softly and leaned over him. "Yes, I'm here," she said, in her own language. He looked around, confused by the new place. Emma stepped back, giving them space. Nalu's fingers curled around Lyra's hand. He was weak, but he was awake. Lyra turned to Leo and Emma. "Wake up," she said, her voice shaking with joy. Emma smiled wide, and Leo exhaled with relief. "That's a good sign," Leo said. "We'll keep giving him medicine, fluids, and food. If he keeps improving, he might survive." Lyra didn't speak. She simply bowed her head to them. A deep, slow nod of respect. It was the most sincere thank you she could give. Hours passed, and the barn grew quieter. Emma left to get more supplies from the house. Leo stayed with Lyra, explaining how to give the medicine. He showed her the bottles, how to measure, how to crush pills if needed. Lyra listened and practiced. Learning fast, she wasn't just a mother, she was a survivor. She would do anything to save her son. By morning, Nalu was resting more peacefully. His face looked less pale, and he drank some warm soup. Emma brought him a small stuffed toy bear with big brown eyes. Nalu stared at it, then hugged it gently. Emma smiled and sat beside him. "I had that toy when I was little," she said. "Now it's yours." Lyra watched the two of them and felt something strange in her heart. It wasn't fear or sadness or even confusion. It was connection, the first bond she had ever felt with a human. Later that day, while Nalu slept, Lyra walked outside the barn for the first time. She looked at the sky blue, endless, full of light. On Viridia, the skies were often gray from smoke. And war, here. It felt like a new beginning. Maybe Earth wasn't only danger. Maybe it was also hope. But her moment of peace didn't last long. In the distance, she saw a strange flicker metal, maybe a shadow moving between trees. She froze, her instincts sharp. Was someone watching? Had they been followed? She ran back inside and closed the door. Leo looked up, noticing her worry. "What's wrong?" he asked. Lyra shook her head but pointed to the forest. "Something there." Leo took a deep breath. "I'll check it out," he said. "Don't worry, we won't let anything happen to you." Lyra nodded, but deep inside, she knew. Peace never lasted for long, and her past might be catching up with her. Far above Earth, in the cold black of space, a silent signal flashed. It came from the crashed ship, the one Lyra and Nalu had escaped in. For days, the signal went unnoticed. But now, someone had seen it. A massive warship moved slowly through space. It belonged to the Viridian warlords, the ones who had destroyed Lyra City. On board, a creature named Commander Krax read the blinking message. His face was hard, his armor dark and sharp. "Lyra is alive," he growled. "She must be found. She knows too much." He ordered a hunter unit to be sent stealth ships. Trained killers, no mercy. Find her. Bring the child. Erase the humans if needed. Back on Earth, Lyra sat inside the barn, rocking Nalu gently. His fever was almost gone now, and he could sit up and eat soup. Emma and Leo smiled as they watched him. He even tried to speak a few English words, making Emma laugh softly. But Lyra felt tense. Since yesterday, she had seen shadows in the woods, flickers of something metallic, too fast to be human. Her instincts told her something was wrong. She had seen hunters before back on Viridia and never gave up once they started the chase. That evening, she spoke to Leo in her quiet voice. "I think someone coming." Leo frowned. "From your planet?" She nodded slowly. Emma's face turned pale. "Then we need to hide you again." They knew the barn wasn't safe anymore. Leo told his parents everything finally. To their surprise, his parents didn't panic. His father was a former soldier, and his mother worked in a science lab. They didn't scream or call the police. They looked at Lyra, then at Nalu, and said, "Let's protect them." Together, they packed supplies, food, water, medicine. Leo's father gave Lyra an old hunting knife and a small radio. "There's a cabin deep in the forest," he said. "Off-grid, no one knows it's there. You'll be safe for a while that night." They left the barn under the cover of darkness. Emma carried Nalu, who was sleepy but alert. Lyra held the radio tightly, her eyes scanning the trees every few steps. Leo led the way with a flashlight, his father walking behind them with a rifle. For hours, they walked through mud, over fallen logs, through thick bushes. Finally, they reached the cabin, hidden between large rocks and tall trees. It was old, but clean, with a fireplace, food, and blankets. Lyra looked around and nodded. "This is good." But just as they settled inside, a soft beep came from Lyra's wristband. She looked down and froze. The warning signal was clear Viridian. Hunters were near, closer than she thought, outside in the trees. Something moved, a shadow, tall and quiet, with glowing red eyes. Another followed it, then another. 3 hunters, alien, armored and deadly, had landed near the crash site. Now they were searching, using old tracks, heat signs, and tech. Inside the cabin, Leo noticed. Lyra, standing still. "What is it?" he whispered. Lyra turned to him, her voice sharp. "They're here," without another word. Leo closed the lights. Emma grabbed Nalu and hid under the floorboards, where old food was once stored. Lyra stood by the door, knife in hand. Leo's father raised his rifle and stood beside her. Outside, a soft humming sound grew louder, then crack. A window shattered and something flew in. It was a small drone scanning the room. Leo smashed it with a metal rod, sparks flying everywhere. The noise was loud to loud. Now the hunters knew exactly where they were. Moments later, one of them appeared at the door. Its body was tall, covered in black armor, its voice cold and sharp. "Give us the Viridian female," it said, "or we will burn this place." Okay. Lyra stepped forward, eyes full of fire. "You leave my child alone." She shouted. The hunter raised a weapon butt before it fired. Leo's father shot first. The blast hit the creature in the shoulder, making it fall back. Lyra didn't wait. She leaped forward, using her knife to slice through the hunters' armor. She remembered where their weak spots were from her old days as a soldier. The hunter screamed and vanished into the trees. Wounded, but the fight wasn't over. 2 more hunters surrounded the cabin, shooting lasers and shouting in their language. Emma held Nalu tightly, whispering to keep him calm. Leo threw a smoke bomb. His father had kept it for years, just in case. The thick smoke gave them a few seconds. They ran, carrying Nalu, holding hands, escaping through the back exit. Through the forest they ran, hearts racing. Lyra could hear the hunters behind them. But she had one more idea. Her damaged ship still had a beacon. If she could reach it, she could send a new message, a signal for help. Someone had to hear it. Someone who could stop the hunters for good. The night was thick with smoke and fear. Lyra held Nalu close as they ran through the trees. Emma followed, her hands trembling. Leo and his father stayed at the back, protecting everyone. Behind them, the Viridian hunters were coming fast. They moved like shadows, silent, deadly, unafraid of the dark. Red lights blinked from their armor, scanning the forest for heat, movement, anything. Lyra's lungs burned with every step, but she didn't stop. She could not now, not when her child was finally healing. "We must reach the ship," she said, breathless. "There is a beacon." "I can send a call," Leo nodded. "We'll get there. Just keep moving." The old crash site was deep in the forest, hidden behind a ridge of sharp rocks. The ship was broken, burned on one side, but its core systems still pulsed with weak energy. If Lyra could reach the beacon, she might send a distress signal to anyone out there, anyone who could help. But they were running out of time. The hunters were closing in, and soon they'd find them again. Suddenly, one of the hunters jumped. Down from a tree in front of them, Lyra screamed, pulling Nalu back. Leo's father raised his rifle and fired. Crack. The bullet hit the hunter's leg. The creature stumbled but did not fall. Emma grabbed a flare gun from her backpack. Her hands shook, but she aimed and fired. The red flare shot straight into the hunter's chest, bursting into fire. The alien roared and fell back, armor smoking. "We have to split up." Leo shouted, "Lyra, take Nalu and Emma, go to the ship. I'll slow them down." "No," Emma cried, "not alone." But Leo didn't wait. He ran toward the hunters, throwing rocks and shouting to distract them. His father followed. Covering him from behind, Lyra hesitated, her heart torn, but Nalu coughed weakly in her arms. Reminding her of what mattered most, she grabbed Emma's hand and ran. They climbed over roots, ducked under branches, and finally reached the crash site. The ship looked worse than she remembered. Black smoke still clung to the metal, but the beacon core was glowing, faint but alive. Lyra placed Nalu down gently on a dry patch of grass. "Stay here," she whispered, kissing his forehead. Then she rushed to the ship and pulled open a hidden panel. Inside the beacon console blinked with a dull blue light. She typed quickly, her fingers dancing across the strange buttons. She spoke into the device in her native language. "This is Lyra of Iridia," she said. "I have my child. We are hunted. We are on Earth. Please, help us." The signal buzzed and blinked. Then IT sent a clear, high-pitched tone echoed from the ship. Somewhere far beyond Earth, someone would hear it, but there was no time to celebrate. Behind them, the last two hunters appeared through the trees. Their armor was scratched, their eyes glowing red with rage. They raised their weapons and aimed at Lyra and Emma. Emma screamed and ran to cover Nalu, but Lyra didn't move. She stood tall in front of the beacon. "Knife in hand, you won't take him," she said, her voice strong. The first hunter lunged. At her, Lyra ducked and slashed at its leg, then spun and stabbed at its side. The blade sank into a weak spot in the armor, sparks flying. The creature howled and fell, twitching. The second hunter raised its blaster, but before it could shoot, a loud bang echoed through the forest. Leo's father had returned, firing. From behind, the blaster flew out of the hunter's hand. Leo rushed forward and tackled the alien from behind. Lyra joined, using her blade again. Together, they took it down. The forest grew quiet again. The hunters were gone, wounded, defeated. Or dead. Lyra dropped to her knees, breathing hard. Emma cried and hugged Nalu tightly. Leo limped over, blood on his arm but a smile on his face. "We made it," he said. "You did it." Lyra looked up at the stars. Her message was out there now. Maybe no one would come, but maybe, just maybe, hope would answer. Emma wiped her tears. "I was so scared," she said. "But we're okay now, right?" Lyra nodded slowly. For now, but she knew Earth wouldn't be safe forever. The hunters would return. The war would come, but something inside her had changed. She wasn't just a mother running anymore. She was a protector. And now, she had humans by her side. Together, they had fought. Together, they had survived. And if help came together, they would rise. 3 days passed since the battle at the crash site. The forest was quiet again, and the skies were clear. Nalu was healing. Fast his fever was gone, and color had returned to his cheeks. He played with the stuffed bear Emma had given him, smiling softly as he held it tight. Lyra stood near the broken ship, eyes watching the sky. She had sent her signal days ago, but there was still no reply. She didn't know if anyone had heard her, or if help would ever come. Still, she waited. Not with fear anymore, but with purpose. Leo's father had built a strong shelter from wood and scrap. They had solar panels, fresh water from a stream, and food stored in crates. It wasn't much, but it was enough. Emma taught Nalu human words, while Leo helped Lyra study Earth tools and technology. They weren't just surviving now, they were learning. Then, on the 4th day, everything changed. A loud hum filled the air, low, steady, and not from Earth. Lyra's eyes widened. She knew that sound. She ran outside with Leo, Emma, and Nalu, all of them staring up at the sky. Above the trees, a ship appeared. It was sleek, silver, and round, with blue lights glowing beneath it. Not a warship, something else. It hovered silently, then slowly landed in a nearby field. Lyra held Nalu tightly, unsure. Then the ship's door opened, and a group of humans stepped out, but not soldiers. Not government agents. They wore light armor and soft blue jackets with a strange symbol, a human hand reaching out to an alien star. The man in front stepped forward, smiling gently. "I'm Captain Reese. We heard your signal," he said. "We're from the Earth's Alliance Peace Division." Lyra blinked. Confused, Leo stepped forward. "You're with the government?" Reese shook his head. "No, not exactly," he replied. "We're part of a secret program. Years ago, Earth made contact with peaceful alien refugees. Since then, we've helped those who come in peace." Quietly, Emma gasped, "You knew aliens were real?" Reese smiled, "Yes. The world's not ready to know. Not yet, but we are ready to protect." Lyra studied Reese carefully. His voice was calm, his hands open, no weapons, no threat. He looked at Nalu and smiled. "We're here for you. Both of you," Lyra asked quietly. "Safe?" Reese nodded. "Yes. We'll take you to a place where no hunters can reach." Leo's father stepped forward, suspicious. "What about us? Will you erase our memories? Take them away?" Reese shook his head. "No. You protected them. You fought. For them, you're part of this now." The peace officers helped load supplies onto the ship. Lyra hesitated. She had grown used to the Earth. To Emma and Leo, leaving felt like losing family again. But then Reese said something that changed. "Everything. You don't have to leave Earth forever. We can move you to a protected zone. There are others, humans and aliens, who live and work together in peace." Lyra looked down at Nalu, who was holding Emma's hand. The boy smiled, then looked at her and said his first full Earth word, home. Lyra's eyes filled with tears. Home, not a planet, not a place in the sky, but a feeling. A place where her child could grow without fear. A place where kindness lived, even among strangers. She looked at Emma, Leo, and their family. "Come too?" she asked, hopeful. Emma's eyes widened. Leo smiled. "You want us with you?" Lyra nodded slowly. "You saved us," Reese agreed. "There's space for those who protect peace." Hours later, the ship lifted off gently, flying toward the clouds inside. Lyra held Nalu as he looked out the window in wonder. Below them, the forest grew small. But the bond between them and the humans didn't shrink, it grew stronger. At the Peace Division base, things were different. There were humans and aliens working together, sharing knowledge, building future worlds. Lyra met others who had escaped war. Like her, she was no longer alone. Emma started school. They're learning alien languages and sharing Earth's history. Leo joined the training team, learning advanced medicine to treat all kinds of life forms. Lyra helped build homes, taught her language, and worked on peace missions. She had been a warrior, a mother, a refugee. Now she was a symbol of hope. And Nalu, he grew stronger every day. He learned to speak both languages and loved drawing stars. One night, he looked up at the sky and said, "Humans saved us." Lyra smiled. "No," she said softly. "They gave us a future." Months passed since Lyra sent the signal from her broken ship. Since then, life had changed completely. She was no longer hiding in caves or running through forests. She was now a teacher at the Peace Division base. Her days were filled with language lessons, community planning, and peace talks between humans and alien refugees. But most of all, she was a mother. And Nalu was no longer a sick child. He laughed now. He ran through the gardens of the base. He played with human and alien children. He slept peacefully under warm blankets, safe, happy, and free. Every morning, he said good morning in English, and every night, he whispered thank you in his own Viridian tongue. Lyra would kiss his forehead and whisper back, "For you, I crossed the stars." Emma and Leo had also become a part of this new world. Emma helped in the cultural center, creating books for children of all species. She had a gift for drawing, and her stories became popular in both human and alien schools. Leo, on the other hand, trained under alien healers and Earth doctors alike. He was now one of the first humans able to treat multiple alien species. His dream of being a doctor had become something bigger, something beyond Earth. One day, Lyra was called to a council meeting. Reese stood at the front, next to other peace officers. The topic was serious. New warships had been seen near Earth's orbit. The Viridian warlords hadn't given up. They were searching again, reaching into distant space for those who had escaped. we must decide. Reese said, do we stay hidden? Or do we show the universe what Earth stands for? There was silence. Then Lyra stood up. She spoke slowly, clearly, in both English and Viridian. I once feared humans, she said. I thought they would lock me away, or destroy my child, but they saved him. They healed him. They gave us a home. She looked around the room. Now I say this. Earth is not weak. Earth is not cruel. Earth is brave. Earth is kind. Earth is hope. Everyone stood and applauded. It was the moment something shifted. The Earth Alliance decided to reveal a part of the truth, not all but enough. A message was sent across space. Earth offers peace. We protect those who come in peace. We are not afraid. From that moment, things changed. More alien refugees came. More humans joined the Peace Division. A new city was built in Orbit Horizon Station, where humans and aliens could live, work, and grow together. Lyra and Nalu were offered a place there. A home among the stars, built with Earth hands and Viridian dreams. They accepted. Their new home had glass windows that showed the stars. Their garden had Earth flowers and Viridian vines. And their neighbors were from worlds Lyra had never even heard of. One evening, Nalu stood by the wide window, staring at the stars. He was taller now, stronger. He wore a soft green robe stitched with the Peace Division symbol. Emma joined him. Holding a book she had written, The Boy Who Crossed Galaxies, it was about him. He smiled and hugged her. Do you miss Earth? He asked. Emma smiled. Sometimes, but this is home too now. Leo walked in carrying a strange glowing fruit from a nearby trade ship. Dinner's ready, he said with a laugh. Lyra sat at the table, already setting plates. She looked around at her new family, not by blood, but by bond. And she felt full, not just from food, but from peace. Later that night, Nalu sat on his bed and asked, Mama, will the bad people ever come back? Lyra thought for a moment, then nodded. Slowly, yes, maybe, she said. But next time, we won't run, we will stand. Together, Nalu smiled. With humans, he said proudly. Lyra kissed his forehead. With humans, she agreed. And somewhere, across the stars, the warlords watched and waited. But Earth was no longer alone, and neither was Lyra. She had found more than safety. She had found family, and a place where her child could laugh without fear. A place where species, stories, and souls lived side by side. Not just a home, but a future.